What if I told you the biggest geopolitical risk in 2026 is not Russia, Iran, or China? Sure, every day we're told these countries are America's enemies, but we now have substantial proof the biggest geopolitical risk threatening the future of our world is right here in America, and actually lives full-time at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Donald Trump is threatening to take over Greenland, a nation under Danish control and a full NATO member. And if Trump goes through with this plan, it could fundamentally change the entire world order. Trump has made it clear the United States will take Greenland. And honestly, the rhetoric we're hearing out of the White House is unlike anything we've heard before.
But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not. If we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way.
So what is the hard way? And is the United States literally going to put U.S. troops on the ground in Greenland and use military force to take over the country? Why does Trump really want Greenland? And are Chinese and Russian ships really surrounding the island, posing a threat to American national security? As always, we're going to present the facts you need to understand the situation, but get ready to buckle up because I found out the real reason Trump wants to take Greenland, and you won't believe how this story ends. Greenland is a nation that sits at a fascinating geographical position. It's located between Canada and the European Union, and despite its name, over 80% of the country is covered in ice. Greenland is home to only 57,000 citizens. Its primary industry is fishing, and the island is an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark, granting its citizens Danish nationality and passports. But Donald Trump wants to change all of that. His argument is that Greenland is geographically closer to the United States and therefore should be part of America. Just listen to Trump explain his thinking.
I'm a big fan, but the fact that they had a boat land there 500 years ago doesn't mean that they own the land.
So landing a boat on a piece of land doesn't mean anything. Does Donald Trump know how the United States was founded? I think the Native Americans would like to have a word with him on this matter. But surprisingly, many Americans are buying in and actually believe Trump's wild claims. Just look at this Twitter post from a popular YouTuber who states, Greenland is located on the North American tectonic plate. It geographically is not European. Well, riddle me this. Hawaii is located on the Pacific tectonic plate. It geographically is not American. Does that mean a country like China or Japan can just claim it and overtake the island? Of course not. But that's essentially what Trump wants to do in Greenland, and it is downright scary for the future of our world. British officials have now met with Germany and France to begin preparations for deploying a military force to Greenland, and this is how crazy geopolitics in 2026 have become. Europe is preparing for an invasion from the United States, its largest and most trusted ally. But there are three main problems with Trump's plan to forcefully take Greenland, because the United States is about to commit the greatest geopolitical blunder in U.S. history if it follows through and carries out Trump's orders. To understand the severity of the situation, just listen to what French Army General Nicolas Richaud said as he addressed the nation of France this week.
Le Groenland, c'est la ligne rouge. Donc, je considère que si ils envahissent le Groenland, s'il se passe quelque chose au Groenland, ils ne sont même plus des adversaires systémiques, ils deviennent des ennemis.
In me, honestly speaking, it's incredibly hard to hear these words as a U.S. citizen. 80 years ago, it was the brave American soldiers who gave their lives on the shores of Normandy, France, to liberate the country from Nazi Germany. The United States and France have always been close allies. Don't forget, we are talking about the nation who had literally gifted us the most recognizable symbol of America as a friendship gift, now viewing the United States as an enemy. Now, I know a lot of Americans could care less what French people think, and let me play devil's advocate here and try to make Trump's logic make sense. According to Stephen Miller, Trump's Homeland Security advisor, might makes right, and whoever is the bigger, more stronger force in the world should be able to take whatever territory or asset they want. It sets a very dangerous precedent for the world, because hasn't the U.S. spent hundreds of billions of dollars fighting a war against Russia to save Ukraine? And Europe? Putin has dreamed for years to destroy NATO. Let's not forget this was and still is the main reason Putin launched his military operation against Ukraine. But by threatening to invade Greenland, Trump might finally destroy NATO for Putin once and for all. But of course, Trump doesn't see this and instead comes up with his own reason that justifies an invasion.
If we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will, and I'm not letting that happen. If we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will take Greenland, and I am not going to let that happen.
I've got a simple question to ask President Trump. Has anyone asked China or Russia if they actually want Greenland? The answer is a resounding no, as neither country has threatened to invade Greenland, nor have they even mentioned the word Greenland in terms of strategic national goals. This entire Russia-China narrative has been fabricated by the president to justify his annexation of Greenland. Once again, just listen to the French army generals speak the truth.
Militairement, c'est pas les Chinois, c'est pas les Russes, ce sont les Américains qui sont présents depuis la Deuxième Guerre mondiale. Alors qu'on nous explique pas qu'on a besoin de saisir physiquement le Groenland.
This is why facts matter when discussing complex geopolitical issues, especially when Donald Trump is involved. Because, as the French general pointed out, from a purely military standpoint, there has only been one country involved in Greenland since the end of World War II, the United States. That reality exposes the first major flaw in Trump's argument for annexing Greenland. It's built on a threat that simply doesn't exist. In fact, the Financial Times confirmed this, reporting that Nordic diplomats outright rejected Trump's claims of Chinese and Russian ships operating around Greenland. Russia is fully consumed by its war in Ukraine and has no strategic presence or interest in Greenland, and China's involvement is far more mundane than Washington rhetoric suggests. China is now one of Greenland's largest trading partners, purchasing a record $377 million worth of fish in 2024. Tourism tells the same story, as more than 5,000 Chinese tourists visited Greenland last year, a record high. Despite frequent claims to the contrary, China has shown no active pursuit of Greenland's mineral or resource sector. And as it does much across the world, China's relationship with Greenland is simply commercial, not military. But this brings us to the second major problem with Trump's grand plan for Greenland, the assumption that Greenland's natural resources can be easily mined at all. Donald Trump is arguably the most effective marketer of our time. He has an unmatched ability to tell the American public exactly what they want to hear and getting people to buy into this plan. But marketing a vision and executing a strategy are two very different things. Behind the bold rhetoric, there is little evidence Trump's plan is grounded in economic or industrial reality. Last year, China did something that genuinely rattled Washington. It restricted exports of critical rare earth minerals, materials essential to nearly every advanced American industry, from defense systems to electric vehicles to semiconductors. China is currently the only country in the world capable of processing rare earths to 99.9% purity, the level required for high-end manufacturing. That reality explains why Greenland suddenly entered the political spotlight. The idea sounds simple. Greenland is rich in rare earths, so annex Greenland, extract the minerals, and free the United States from dependence on China. On the surface, it sounds brilliant, which is exactly why so many Americans bought into it. Most Americans can't point to Greenland on a map, yet they were told it could instantly solve one of America's biggest strategic vulnerabilities. But there is an obvious question almost no one has asked. If mining Greenland were so easy, why hasn't it already happened? And here's where the facts matter. While Greenland has identified more than 1,100 potential mineral sites, there are only 2 active mines on the island and just 8 active mining licenses. If there were an easy fortune waiting in Greenland, private industry would have already been there. Capital doesn't miss obvious opportunities. Malte Humbert, founder and senior fellow at the Arctic Institute, puts it bluntly. The idea of turning Greenland into America's rare earth factory is science fiction. It's completely bonkers. You might as well mine on the moon. In some respects, it's worse than the moon. And he's right. Roughly 80% of Greenland is covered by ice, and operating at the Arctic can cost 5 to 10 times more than similar projects elsewhere on Earth. Most deposits sit remote regions above the Arctic Circle, buried beneath a mile-thick ice sheet where darkness dominates much of the year and basic infrastructure barely exists. To put this in perspective, consider this. After the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed in Baltimore in early 2024, the U.S. government estimated it would take 6 years and $5.2 billion to rebuild, despite the fact that America built the Golden Gate Bridge in under 4 years during the Great Depression, ahead of schedule and under budget, without computers or AI. So we're supposed to believe that a government struggling to rebuild a bridge can subtly extract rare earths from one of the most hostile environments on planet? That belief isn't optimism, it's fantasy. But this brings us to the third and most dangerous problem with Trump's Greenland strategy: what it would do to America's credibility and standing in the world.